Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting and everything and amazing Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, the one, the only master propaganda hero, like defender of the fatherland, except no substitutes. Off here to a 1v1 on Langraskaya. In the north, it is Jxquiye. We'll just call him GX because I can't pronounce the other one consistently. Fighting here for the German army, Deutschland. Taking on the role here of the 3rd Panzer Division here with lightning war, yet fortified armor and mobile defense. I'm just used to Jaeger armor, my brain just kind of went there. In the south, it is Jimmy fighting for the Red Army, the Soviet Union, Comrade Stalin. Here with the 12th Tank Corps with guard motor, airborne troops, and counterattack tactics. Now, there's a fun one. Grenadiers MD42 versus Engineers conscripts here. So far, fairly standard starts in terms of build orders here from both sides. And as always, a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters. Without them and the support, the Propagandacast would not be possible. So big thanks to all those. Other people can join thanks for Patreon, or they can donate via PayPal. Links are in the video description. You can also, pre-order coming is free there through the link in the comments. Use the CoH2 3D, in which case you get a card of sale, that is, if you're gonna pre-order, of course. And find just, comment, like, share, and all that stuff there. So, east side here, coming up, the Jimmy looking to hit here. JX's fuel supply here. He's got sandbags barbed wire here by the munitions point. Grenadiers ground points up north here. Second Grenadiers got to be available here for JX soon enough. Coming up the eastern side here. In the west side, we got engineers and just engineers busy ground points there. Pushing east was there. Second Grenadiers squad almost done. First shots going to be fired here by the eastern fuel point there as JX's Grenadiers catches Jimmy's contras here by the eastern fuel point. A cheeky play here, but Jim was only one that will possibly really throw off here JX in his early game here, and could have some rather long-reaching contra. In fact, the contra gains some good hits on the Grenadiers, already down to half health. Meanwhile, the Grenadiers have yet to land any serious damage on the contra in turn here. He's going to need the machine gun up here, some more troops soon, or this is going to turn sour here for JX really hard. He has stopped another contra squad from reinforcing up here, but up here his Grenadiers have only killed one man in meanwhile, so China suffered 2 losses. That is really bad there for JX and the Germans, to put it gently. And there go 3 losses versus 1 loss. That is terrible there for the Germans. Terrible, but great for Jimmy. Considering Grenadier squad is roughly 50% more expensive to reinforce than a conscript. So, that's definitely a bit painful there for Mr. DX. Pioneers pursuing the concept of the machine of the Grenadiers are doubling back here. Interesting choice there. Guess it's more concerned down here about the machine gun getting outmaneuvered here by Jimmy. And there we go. Grenadiers going to cover up the flank here. Really rough spot here for JX in the early game. Really going to extend it here. The situation is just not quite good. So there you go. The contrast in the building here. JX got outfoxed here by Jimmy. Really leaving the bad spot. They almost got Engineer squad wiped here, though. Yeah, this is really rough here for the Germans. Really rough. Conscripts finally pushed back by the Pioneers up close. They came in with MP40s. One should not underestimate the power that Pioneers can do to an infantry squad if they can get close enough. But yeah, JX's situation remains pretty hazardous here. More troops being rushed towards the front line here as JX is just trying to desperately stem just the current flow of socialism into his territories here. Meanwhile, we got a full 3 conscripts out here for Jimmy. Some recently popped out there. Might be a misclick, might have a brain fart, or maybe just decide now was the time to go out. I do not know. But our way that it does ultimately allow JX to finally get at least a bit of relief here, as Jimmy just is probably preparing for the next big push here. Back here, troop reinforcing healing, Grenadiers setting out. For those wondering about the title Grenadier, it basically happened roughly after Stalingrad and the losses in North Africa. It was basically an honorific title given to the German infantry, before that just been known as Infanterie or infantry. Giving them a slightly flashier name. Similarly, the German Schützen, which was the name before the Panzer Grenadiers, became Panzer Grenadiers. So, little fun fact there. Little fun fact there. Contra on the eastern side here for Jimmy. Grenadiers need to be careful there. Grenadiers and engineers there. Bit of attempting to, I think, outmaneuver here. GX once more. Jimmy, I think, is so far doing a fairly good job of it. I mean, he's not just barging down the center for the most part. GX, of course, another infantry squad now actually has more infantry on the field than Jimmy, and he's probably hoping to, reverse the initial ill fortunes here versus Jimmy by doing that. But again, the fuel point needs to east wants him being threatened, and the machine gun can't needs to cover that. Like, he's committed elsewhere, but not around here, his own fuel point. Of course, he could hit the car point and then move towards the western fuel point, but there's a lot going on here for GX and for Jimmy, and Jim, of course, is now digging sandbags on his opponent's fuel point, really adding there to the current not great situation there for JX and the Germans. Back here, fresh wave, still no commander for Jimmy, no commander for JX. So I imagine we are getting some tech, yes indeed. There we go. Fuel point running neutral already. Got the calf on his hit there. Fresh wave here on the calf point. Gumby is backing off. You make a move there. You should honestly get some more troops on the eastern fuel point, or again switch hard towards the western fuel point. But right now, I feel like if he's going to focus on the center, that's going to be a mistake here for GX tactically and operationally. Tech down there, bunker up there for GX as well. No commander yet. As for Jimmy, we do have the support company, and crucially, no commander yet either, though. At this point, it feels like it's going to be guard mode, that could also be counter-attack tactics here from Jimmy. Could be either of the two. Fighting for the calf point. See, western fuel point are secured. He actually needs to grab the west point next to it, and you actually get the fuel point out of the west. That would be pretty decent for GX at least. Not amazing, but better than crucially having none of the fuel points on his control and connected. Meanwhile, Jimmy is rushing straight ahead for the tank between command here. In fact, he might be looking to rush out an anti-aircraft half-track here versus GX, which would be quite a problem right now for the German player, as he is definitely not in a position to deal with that. So I would not be surprised if that's what Jimmy's going to rush out here against the Germans. And he's been caught against the conscripts in a pretty rough spot. But tries some rifle grenades here to maybe blow up the attacking. So there you go, one squad retreated, hadn't connected the fuel point either. At least he's keeping the eastern fuel point from connected. You can see that Jimmy's leaving a conscript there to just keep it out. And we got the machine gun just covering the center spot. That's really not where I think any of the important fighting is currently happening here between Jimmy or JX. Well, the machine gun just in time before they got suppressed. 2-2 on the way there for JX. Gunner's being reinforced. Could begin handing out light machine guns. You could also go for lightning rifle for some G43s. And there we go. We do get the half-track here for Jimmy. Very much expected. The M5 half-track going to be upgraded with the quad mount. The American, right, the Soviets with a lot of half-tracks. No, he cancels it. Interesting. I was about to say provided with a lot of half-tracks in Violent Lease, plus trucks, railway tracks, and trains. In fact, a lot of stuff which didn't provide to the Soviets there in terms of, shows say, logistical support. Plus food and fuel. Mort on the way there for Jimmy. Not a bad idea either to help deal with some of JX's hard points there. Got the cut-off point there. Of course, JX needs to get that fuel point under his control. Schnell! And he really also should pick a commander soon and, make some decisions. I do believe you are seeing light machines where the Fuskundies significantly promising to boost their firepower against the Marxist menace here. Armored cars also riding here. GX with a pretty solid tool there, of course, control the field a bit more actively versus Jimmy, who is closing on that T-70 light tank. Now he cancels the mortar for a field gun. Lots of quick decisions being made there by Jimmy. Sat backs wide off there. Pushing for the car point again. GX once looking to try and slow down Jimmy's economy. Definitely very smart. Got the field gun out here. This is 3 divisional field gun. Sandbags there. Thrown down. Finished. Oh. And then goes straight into man with the armored car. Knocked out with the field gun there. Gonna have to destroy it there, or he's gonna risk handing it over to his opponent. And pop goes the weasel. Looks like Jamie decided, he's not even gonna bother with that pretense. And just wrecks it himself. T-70 light tank halfway the Jimmy. Lots of grenades from the Incendiary light machine. Even got the Incendiary pierce rounds with the MG42. Definitely promising a lot of pain there. Trying to troops stick around for too long. And the contra, they cannot retreat here. I think they're gonna, well, they will have to, I guess. But there's actually a chance he'll wipe here from the MG42. Unless, of course, it starts firing other troops here. And still, gets the wipe. They're really punching blows to Jimmy. Down to just 2 squad for now, and the Incendiary pierce rounds just keep ripping through here. Jimmy's forces almost got a second wipe, thanks to the rifle grenade here. But really, incendiary armor piercing rounds on the MG42 is such a powerful ability. I cannot recommend it enough. East side here, we got new spotted by the Pioneers, trying to make a bit of a mess there of GX's fuel supplies in the east. But now, GX got a really decent car hit there, and we got the Pack 42 respond to the T-70 as Jim, of course, is now bringing in some light armor to meet the Germanic menace. No immediate attack here because he's still, fairly short on fuel here. Due to, again, the excellent early harassment here by Jimmy. But at the same time, GX is able to, harass Jimmy back, trying to ensure that Jimmy cannot then use the T-70 to rush into, fast medium armor, for example. So, pretty decent work there by both sides in the end. Still no commander, though, for GX or for Jimmy. Makes you wonder exactly what the plan there. Go, Pack 40 shoots right through the T-70's armor. Not really difficult with the amount of armor that tank had. Using a Pack 40, that is. Continuing forward, and there we go. Jimmy with, surprise, surprise, Guard motor in the end, T for the 35, heavy mortars, Guards rifle infantry, vehicle crew repair training, and marked vehicle. The most used Soviet commander by far. It is ultimately no surprise we went for it. It is just a collection of very good abilities and units that are also crucially very easy to use. And it's kind of just say those two elements intersecting in Guard mode that makes it so popular. Like if some of these abilities were much harder to use, I think the commander would be a little less popular. But again, the fact that a lot of these are just good and very efficient and then easy to use makes this just, you know, practically a no-brainer choice for the average Soviet commander. Mortar there for JX, a Granatenwerfer. Need to get that fuel pump back. We got more sandbags here. Got the mortar almost done. The guardsman here. Got some S-mines here as well, trying to catch up some units if they retreat. Sneaky. Mortar being hauled through to the front line here. The Granatenwerfer 34. Was at the start of the war known certified by the Germans as a heavy mortar, but once they captured the sort of heavy mortars, started using that larger number, it was downgraded to medium mortar. But for a significant part of the war, the Germans called that a heavy mortar, or schwere Granatenwerfer. Contact with new support pushing eastwards against Jx's eastern flank. It's a good save for the fuel point again. Jimmy's really just doing great work there, hitting Jx's fuel lines and just harassing. And Jimmy is, or Jx, I mean, is doing, on the other hand, not a great job defending it, honestly. Like at this point, you'd figure that to just S-mine the point itself to make it much harder for Jimmy just moving the conscript squad to just defend it. Do get mortified here, try and flash him out, but still not a great spot here. Don't have grenades research here for Jimmy. That is a bit of a small bit of luck there for the MU-42 crew. Grenadier moving forward. Still a commander though here for JX and the Germans. Moving straight on from the fuel point now that it's being mortared. He's caught here laying down, cutting part wire. Is he rechanging grenades now? Nope. But he has gone for a mortar himself. I'm actually surprised they don't go for the heavy mortar. Though it's not because the PM41 mortar is bad. It's just, you know, the heavy mortar is just typically better. It's a bit of a surprise there. But again, not like, you know, a massive deal here, in a sense. Again, just having a mortar is a good thing, so, you know. Needs to bombard here again. To flash out, needs to get that fuel point back under control. Otherwise, JX will be taking forever to get out any armor here versus Jimmy. Guard from the flank here, very nice. That's of course your JX, in which case that's not really where you want to be finding a guard squad. Got the grenades research finally. Put in the card from the guards, but he moves more trooping to the east here. He calls onto the fuel point. Back for Germany. In the south, we got Jimmy now. More troops again going to hit that fuel point harder. We got sniper here for GX. An interesting choice considering everything right now here. Not entirely sure I'd recommend the sniper here in particular. I think another machine gun, a mortar more. Like another Pack 40 would be much better choices here for GX than a sniper at this point. Might be clear that, but the engineers in the West Guard push back by the Grenadiers and the Pioneers. Almost got a wipe here, but looks like Jimmy's luck holds through here. In the center, the Engineers are routing further elements here from GX's command here. Mortar getting wiped out. That's great here, particularly runs off with it. That could be a real problem here for GX and the Germans. If Jimmy were to get his hands on 2 mortars, that would be practically a nightmare. Eastern fuel point finally grabbed back again, and there you go. MU-42 narrowly saves the JX from mortar hell. So mortar being forwards again. 2 kills on it so far. Do have tech done. That needs to spawn the cop pretty schnell. Grab the Eastern fuel point back again. And the T-70 has suffered a bit of a Panzerfaust here. Not enough to take it out. Explosions. Mortar still not crewed up. And another Pack 40 here for GX versus Jimmy and the Red Army. In the west, a bit finally pressure here from JX. As you remember, there's other parts on that than just the east side. Mostly because, again, Jimmy's just been doing such a great job keeping JX's attention. He's just, you know, not had to defend the west side for some time. He's got the fuel on their back for I guess, a small amount of time as Jimmy's already launching another assault. Again, he's just very consistently attacking there. And so far, Jx is just not doing anything to really, like, make this tougher. There's no S-mines, no machine gun bunker, or anything like that. He's just constantly assuming that apparently Jimmy's just going to forget the field point exists, and that, he's not doing a lot to defend it. Which is generally not the best defensive strategy. On average. Unless you're up against, like, a toddler with no sense of object permanence, you should generally assume that your opponent finds an easy, harassable path. They're going to keep doing it. Mortifying the counter before to keep the units they're pinned down to the ground. Counter pushing up further here on JX's flank, and he's moving forward to respond to that. Mortify, they almost takes out the counter squad there. Nice hit there, tears off a huge chunk of health there from the unit. Pack 40 there is far removed here. Fuel point once more being lost here to Jimmy, as he once more just hits JX fuel point with an incredible consistency. Just excellent and consistent fuel harassment there. Always an important skill to see there being utilised. Meanwhile, the support calls up here for JX. Well, he's going to go for, but I'd imagine a Panther 4 here. He could also try and rush out the Osprey, and he does have the bullets in here for the suppressor fire. But the question is, would he be able to, like, really leverage the Osprey before he gets hit by medium armor from Jimmy? Jimmy also starting to take up himself. Sniper also move here with 2 kills as a name so far. Bring on the center again. Got 449 to 318, at least in the terms of victory points. Things are going somewhat in GX's favour. Somewhat. Got that sword mortar at it again there. 3 kills, veterans 1. Fun fact though, by the way, is that the Soviet mortars fired slightly larger mortar rounds than the German mortars. In fact, every other mortar as well there, which might have ostensibly been done to prevent other armies from using their mortars then. Without the ammunition for that, to use the mortar in their own mortar rounds in their own mortar. But still, you could kind of use German ammunition in the Soviet mortars, though it was a little less effective. So, some fun stuff there. Guardsman coming out the center here for Jimmy. He's heading westwards there, 9 kills, veteran 2. Sniper gets to turn the conscripts. Another kill there. 5 kills here on JX's sniper so far. Mortar landing danger close to the guard, and again, they're going for the mortar. And the sniper. Ooh, that's a close chance of wipe here. Can he manage it here on Jimmy? Can he get that kill? And he does. Another wipe here on Jimmy. That's also something that has been kind of working out here for JX. Has just been able to manage at least a few wipes in his opponent. Whereas, in comparison, Jimmy really hasn't wiped like any infantry squads here under JX's command. That's something that's slightly working out here for him now, though, of course, that can quickly change there with a mortar and a building. Panther on the way there for JX, despite everything. He's able to get out of tank here ahead of Jimmy, though it's mostly because Jimmy is going for the T for the 45 by all appearances and kind of forgot about it. Though he can go for it now, at which point the Panther 4 will be in a bit of spot of trouble. JX Ball is still without a commander, really starting to feel like lightning wall, though could surprisingly enough be fortified armor, yes. Mobile defense seems more unlikely at this point. I think he'd gone for that sooner if that was his intent, but I suppose he could still, like, go back to it. Decent move there. Packs shoot, and both of them miss the T-70 light tank here. And in the east, nothing near squad. Being set up, plus infantry following up here again. Just Jimmy consistently hitting that eastern flank there. That eastern field point. At this point, I do think this is one of those cases where GX, I think, would not be entirely punch-paying machine gun bunker ready just to make this harder to achieve so consistently. Panther 4 moving up, though. Shoot out the pin mounted machine gun gewehr there. In the center there, T-Smash into the packs. Both of them miss, though. At least one of them misses. Quite consistent machine in trouble here. We got the T-35 out here, though, for Jimmy and the Red Army. Is it? There we go. Put with an 85mm with a gun. Adopted from a Soviet anti-aircraft gun as well, as a fun fact. I need some Charlie Pan from so there you go. Packs firing at the T-35, and these This time, they're actually bloody well hitting the damn thing. Like the T sending more to meanwhile trouble with the Grenadiers. More guards out here for Jimmy, replacing the losses with more Soviet veteran troops ready to meet the German menace head on. Grenadiers pushing forwards, Pack 40 also on the move here. Panther 4 though need repairs. And certainly some more armor would also be a good idea here for GX as soon as possible. A Stuke would be a good addition, and you know, get that fuel point back for the umpteenth time, and maybe this time set up a machine gun bunker or something else to defend it against any harassment there for Jimmy. Because Jimmy's just very consistently able to like just very little investment, just constantly mess with GX's fuel economy, really making it difficult for GX to rely on his tanks here, because it's going to be like, you know, so difficult for him to like get enough fuel to not get any decent amount of tanks out consistently. So definitely, I think needs to put in more effort here and defend that fuel point from now on. Or at least start hitting Jimmy's fuel points a lot harder as well. Still no commander though for GX. I mean, we're at the 20-minute mark, and the German player has still yet to be a commander. Definitely feels like at this stage it's going to be like other Lightning Bolt, or I suppose a surprise fortified armor. But we'll have to see everybody scheming. Like mobile defense, that like there's just 5 CPs worth of abilities. It's like, you know, it's all like, you know, long past the expiration date of usefulness in a sense here for GX. So it's going to be like either fortified armor or lightning bolt at this point, with no clear indicator as to what exactly GX is planning here. Using the mortar now to grab the eastern fuel point. Sniper there with 10 kills. Sandbags around the center. T-Center keeps bombarding and snapping away there as well at German infantry. And East Engineers slowly probing force the machine. They're in trouble. We got the T-Fed forming up as well there. Didn't hit the Grenadiers at all though. That is a okay machine gun did the trick, it seems. I mean, we've got the third mortar there with 8 level now. 8 kills. Thumbs up. Nice pack 40 hit, follow up with the Panther Fast T double pack. There we go. T-35 suffering heavy damage here from the German guns. Meanwhile, east side again, fuel pumping hit. Panther falling forward with explosion here. We got a guard squad here on the scene as well here. Pack's not being to assist here. Almost got the T-35. Can he finish it off? No, the Panther 4 misses. And with all the buttoning and all of that going on, they can't pursue the T-35 to finish off here. Close save here for Jimmy. Eastern fuel point was for just lost moments after it got grabbed. I mean, in GX's defense, like most players will on average not be that dedicated to actually harassing their opponent's fuel. So, you know, to the extent you can understand GX, if like, you know, he's just a hard meta player, because metagame wise, like the average player just tends to get over focused on the center when in reality they shouldn't. But yeah, like Jimmy, I think, is a much smarter player and shallow players consider. He's just consistent hitting that fuel point, and GX in response is just not used to having to deal with this, and so seemingly cannot formulate any effective countermeasure instead of just grabbing it from time to time while his fuel economy keeps getting, like, you know, slammed. Finish the engineers in the east. Ten kills there, actually 3 more to being bombarded in the east side. Here we got the engineers there. I mean, the Grenadiers should win that one. It's just going to take some time due to the heavy cover backing up the engineers, and caused by that, Jimmy might have brought in more force to defend the eastern fuel point. Panther 4 being fixed up here. But yeah, fortified armor could mean that GX may, for whatever reasons, try and go for the elephant heavy tank strike versus Jimmy, which is a very bold choice, and more than anything requires him to actually like consistently defend that damn fuel point, which again, so far GX is not really achieving that particular goal. Katyusha for Jimmy. Very much standard third metagame as well there. No massive surprises on that account. T-35 moving forwards. Advance in the center. We've got 412 versus 271. I mean, GX still has a good victory point over Jimmy, but again, it kind of feels like that's like his only major advantage besides a bit of population cap. But again, just despite having, in a sense, a larger force here than Jimmy, he's not particularly leveraging it. Like, he's playing very defensively. But you're going to be stalling for something in tier 4. Kind of makes sense, but it's not actually, like, you know, helping GX's case right now versus Jimmy in particular, because, you know, he's not hitting that fuel point defending it consistently, or hitting his opponent's fuel point consistently enough. So despite having a smaller force I'd argue that Jimmy so far is leveraging his smaller force much more efficiently compared to JX. Really should, like at this point, just consider machine gun bank, honestly. Of course, it wouldn't be like, you know, a guarantee to be able to hold it, but at least it would require a larger investment than from Jimmy to actually, like, grab that fuel point, which would give Jimmy then, or JX, I mean, more time to move in to, like, defend the fuel point. Got the mortar firing away there, 13 kills. Definitely been a good investment here for Jimmy. And in general, like a well-handled mortar is just a good investment. We got counter battery fire here on the German mortar. Granatenwerfer. Not entirely sure it's actually within range to hit the third mortar. Oh. Well then. Apparently I was wrong. We got air recons here from JX as well. Closing in 2 here on the Granatenwerfer, 34. Third mortar crew there suffering the brunt of it. Smoke green to be employed here. Actually 2 gained here on the German mortar crew. Further fighting around the center here, better pressure into the east here, but GX is stopping that in the name of the Reich here with the 3rd Panzerdivision. Attrition fire here looking to snuff out JX's Granatenwerfer crew, and there you go, the crew is slaughtered once more. That is the 2nd time that mortar has been wiped out from the face of this earth by Jimmy. His T-35, they're lining up for another assault, but perhaps deciding it has other places to be. Need to put more pressure on the left side here for the German player. As for Jimmy, more flanks, just, you know, more consistent fuel harassment, I think is a great idea. Tier 4 research here for JX. But is he actually, like, going to go for the elephant? It's just using it for, say, hold down and stuff. God, I suppose a well-positioned Panzer with 4 with held down could be a problem for Jimmy for sure. Could be a big problem due to the damage reduction, but also the increased range he gets. So, like a well-positioned Panther 4 with that can be a bit of a problem. There you go. We do get a hold down Panther 4 here from GX. Definitely rare to see those nowadays. Here we go. East of the guns being engaged by the Guardsman, then T-35. Another T-35 here for Jimmy and the Red Army. Swiftly moving up the eastern side here with its main gun. The center of the Indians pushing forwards here, looking to overwhelm their JX in the center. We got 388, there's 254. Second T-35, they're halfway done here for Jimmy. T moving forwards, east side there, slow probing here from Jimmy. Once more set on the path towards that eastern field point, it would appear. Panther 4 on the east side as well could maybe, well, with hold down, might be able to take on the T-35 a bit here. Of course, we're not yet to pop, so this is another matter. Second T-35 around the corner here for Jimmy. In the center, more skirmishing happening, and it's looking pretty rough here for JX's men as Jimmy just keeps slamming away there with his artillery and his infantry. West side remains very just non-existent in a sense, like just nothing's happening there. JX is not trying to harass, and Jimmy's not trying to attack from there either. But for JX, he really should start trying to at least harass a bit there in the west. Meanwhile, again, he's either setting up here for the Elephant or a Panther, maybe. At this stage, you could have the Sturmpanzer out. So at this stage, it's likely either Elephants or Panthers here from JX. Gets usually with 3 kills. T-35 backing off there, 1 kill, 1 level of efficiency. One move on here with the Grenadiers down to 2 men, forced retreat here in the face of Socialist Steel, and far up north here in the base of JX we got the Heavy Panzerkorps, the Schwerer Panzerkorps, but so far no indicators whether it's going to be the Elephant or the Panther he's planning. Certainly will take a bit longer to go for the Elephant compared to the Panther, which he almost has the resources for. And same on a map like Langraskaya, getting full leverage out of the Elephant is going to be a bit tough, though arguably not impossible. So it will be interesting to see what exactly here JX is scheming versus Jimmy, though so far we're not seeing the Panther, so it's technically not impossible that JX may in fact be dreaming of an Elephant here in a 1v1 match, which is typically highly rare because the Elephant will struggle a fair bit depending on the opponent on a 1v1 map. Partly because there's no guarantee opponent's going to like enough tanks to like really deal with it. Or actually use it on to like, you know, be worth its cost. Also, some maps can make it a bit tougher to use. So, it's an interesting decision here by GX if he's to go through it, and at this point it very much sharply looks like he is packed. They're wiped out here by Surge Guns. Almost got destroyed here in the Eastern Victory Point. We got a heavy fighting here between GX and Jimmy. Jimmy, by the way, oh yeah, there we go, going for the fuel point again. 365 is 238 still. GX has a victory point leader with Jimmy, but it is slowly collapsing there. In East, that Panther going for the knees here, striking hard for Deutschland. The south of the T-35 rolls forward like a socialist steamroller. Going straight at the German lines, ready to turn them into paste. But there you go. Extended got Panther fausted and packed. The lack of support here for Jimmy definitely shows. And he's lost the guard squad by the way, so he's done just 2 squads of infantry versus JX's 4. But again, for what reasons, like JX is just not leveraging all of his infantry. He's not being, I feel like, active enough on the left side. And there you go. Second. Oh, it's over there. It's not the second one. Well, it is the second one, but it's not just a ramp. Just kind of looks like in my mind here. Looks like what happened when you do so much casting after a certain point, but oh well. Reinforcing healing. Elephant getting ever closer here for GX. The Elephant Schwerer Panzerjäger, previously known as the Ferdinand, after its inventor Ferdinand Porsche, and also the owner of Porsche. But, yeah, got it renamed after they did some updates to it. So it became the Elephant. Got the Panther there, hold down in the east. Halfway to 52 on that one. Another cartridge barrage here from Jimmy. Mortar barrel still not recruited here by JX. But he's getting very close to that Elephant. I mean, he's got the manpower, and it's almost there the fuel and pretty much every other. So, like, yeah, just a few more moments, and we can actually see an Elephant in a 1v1. That is supremely rare. I think it's been a few years since I've actually seen a 1v1 Elephant, if I remember correctly. More guardsmen out there for Jimmy. Very good. And there you go. Elephant summoned forth here by GX and the German army. Sent in from the nearby 653rd Schwerer Panzerjägerabteilung. As heavy tank destroyers like that would used to be organized into the independent tank destroyer battalions or Abteilungs. Attachments. For example, Nashorns and Jagdpanthers and Jagdtigers would similarly also be organized into Schwerer Panzerjägerabteilungs. Little fun fact there. Additional fun fact is the Waffen-SS did not receive any of those kind of units. They only had the SS Schwerer Panzerabteilungs, which is where typically Tiger tanks and King Tigers were organized into. So, little fun fact there. Off and moving forwards. Got the T-70 there. It almost looked like just shot the conscious miss, but obviously with every conscious you can just see from a nice safe distance, knock it out there. So that was a pretty good kill here for JX. Removes a significant, anti-infantry element here in Jimmy's arsenal. But again, Eastern Fuel Point once more being hit. Will JX respond to this a bit faster? Will he defend his fuel point more efficiently? Would actually do something in the West here more consistently? Elephant there falling back, clearly concerned about being swarmed by certain tanks and knocked out. Certainly a very fast way to lose an Elephant if you get it outmaneuvered. So I don't quite blame JX for being a bit cautious here with it, but at the same time it ends up doing nothing with it. You may as well not gone for it in the first place. There's always, a bit of a balancing act there with stuff like the Elephant. He's grabbing some fuel point, quick between the face of the Panther 4 here. T further backing off. Pat gets a good that's actually an Elephant, gets a good shot on the T-35 there with its high velocity 88mm gun. Which, by the way, as a fun fact, was the same use as on the King Tiger and the Jagdpanther. And the Nashorn, actually. Quite a few of the German heavier units there, armoured units, actually use the same gun. So a little fun fact there. Rifling in the Guardsman, T-35 engaging with its 85mm gun. More thick gun is with the Guardsman, adding some few kills here. Yeah, Exo's finding himself losing more and more ground here to Jimmy. Jimmy's just attacking more consistently. That's despite, again, theoretically having the Elephant, which should be a threat here to Jimmy's armor. And again, just in some ways saying more for his opponent. There's actually lost a squad there, and of course Jimmy replaced this, so it's not quite an advantage there either. So, in some ways, I can't help escape the feeling that, JX is just being too passive. When really against the Soviets, especially heading to the late game, you do need to be a lot more active, a lot more aggressive, because otherwise, a lot of the time, the Surge can very well grind you out if you're not careful. Due to the whole, Sandman squads, the T-35s, the Katyushas, and the field guns can make things very difficult in a longer running game, and particularly once those field guns hit the higher levels of veterancy, that level of veterancy combined with them being 6-man anti-tank guns can make them very, very difficult to deal with. So, definitely needs to be some more activeness here from JX, and also, again, more in the West. It's like he's practically forgot the West exists at this point. And moving forward here for Jimmy, or JX. There. And he's been hammered here by the Third Mortar with 15 kills. Very good work there. JX's mortar at this point has been utterly destroyed. And he's moving in there. And Gottfried takes Vetter's mortar got. So Ration's wounded. So keep winning things, don't they? He said they're going for these some fuel with the music around the point there. Air recons again here from JX. Probably going to like spot some tanks and hammer with his elephant. Again, you might notice Jimmy's playing his tanks a lot more conservatively, making it harder here for JX to get a lot of value out of his elephant. And of course, once he gets targeted, Jimmy just pulls out the tanks so they don't become targets until the air recons are gone. So it's certainly difficult for JX to get a lot of value out of his elephant. In particular, keeps playing defense like that. And there goes even hauling it down. He's in front of the double field guns. This feels like a fairly bad idea there by JX. And there go. The Choose Your Fire plus field gun fire here is certainly punishing JX here for his folly in the face of Jimmy's anti-tank guns and rockets. We've also got the Panther 4 to hold down very close to Vetini 2. Also becoming target there for the field guns. Pop smoke and then safely disengages, but for now, Jimmy's again got the Eastern fuel point. He's got a good chunk of the map. He's actually now got the victory point lead over JX. JX, I think, definitely needs to re-evaluate his current plans because they are just not, I think, any good here versus Jimmy at this stage. He's just being slowly ground down. He needs to seize back initiative. He needs to start delivering some heavy losses. Jimmy, we're just risking you just ground down steadily. There needs to be some changes there. Meanwhile, Jimmy's mining up here. He's just keeping up the pressure very good. He's routed here by the Grenadiers. Elephant being fixed up. He's going to hold it down in case the Surge decide to rush it, I guess. But for this victory point between Jimmy and JX is not quite going JX's way, though at least he is not losing out, I guess. Except for some resistance. Elephant is good to go here for JX once more. Panther 4 there on the move, but it's not fully repaired on, and I think JX now realizes that. We got more flares from Jimmy, very consistent use of that ability, and Ondi, it is a really good ability, by the way. Tons of effort for JX, obviously responsive to the field guns and the other stuff. He wants to just try and silence it that way. But similar to a lot of things, if he doesn't then follow up on it aggressively, it's not going to really matter, because, Jimmy might suffer no damage, but even if he does, if JX doesn't try to exploit that damage down there, he's just going to quickly enforce it, get back to the front line. Pantherfast and the T-35 there, just Jimmy keeps up consistent fuel harassment there, or he's fed of it. In fact, he's still got the fuel point, but JX just making no effort. He remains heavily center focused here. Katyusha firing down here in JX's positions, further forcing off the center here, as Jimmy just keeps it the assault here for the Red Army. The Grenadiers are just being bled dry here. And we got the Panther Red now here for JX. Can this rocket launcher turn the tide for Germany? Can it shatter Jimmy's back like it's made out of plywood? Elephant taking hits here. Got an anti-tank over against the Elephant, damaging the engine. Panther barrage off here, locked against the double field guns. Gets some kills in there, but in the end, only 3 kills, and crucially doesn't wipe any of the field gun crews here, so the experience is very much retained, and the damage can be swiftly undone. So, not the best Panzerwerfer barrage, unfortunately, here for JX versus Jimmy, when he really need, something to, punch through here and leave Jimmy at least somewhat discombobulated. Instead, he's just mildly nonplussed. Comrades, a rocket strike! What were the losses? 3 guys? Only 3? Oh, this is nothing. Just patch up the crybabies and get some replacements. Moving on the Eastern Victory Point, 132 is 231. Really looking rough here for GX. Again, there needs to be more aggression. There needs to be shifted tactics. An attempt to seize the initiative here from the Soviets, or he's just going to get, ground down and never mind, just bleed out on victory points, honestly. As for all this good to go, we got more air reconnaissance. In this regard, we can also see there's a slight issue with the elephant. He becomes too dependent on it to, actually do anything, and it just also slows down his pacing overall further, so... As you can see there, if he can't see the tanks with the air reconnaissance hit with the elephant, he clearly doesn't want to move any further, so he's really become, I think, just too passive and too reactive in nature, which is just allowing him to just hold, a fair amount of terrain there without really having to, exert too much effort into actually defending it, which, of course, frees up more units for attacking and thus keeping up pressure on JX. Oh dear, he actually got the Katyusha with the elephant, though. It is easy to forget how much range the elephant actually has. But even then, with less than 100 points left, the question is, will destroying that Katyusha really help JX actually get back this victory? Because so far, the answer would appear to be a flat-out no, as he's still, using the part in the east. He's not advancing on the west. He's not on the center or the west, so... Even if it was a neat kill, the question is, will it really help out JX here? Then he's ripping apart the engineers with light machine gun fire here, absolutely slaughtering them. Elephant moving forwards here. 4 kills. So we got the gun use the guards from the Eastern Victory Point here. A further defense there by Jimmy. Katyusha almost done. The T-35 could also get a bit more aggressive, but obviously at the same time, with the elephant about, he's not highly incentivized to go for deep dives, I guess, but not when he's got all the victory points anyway. So Rifle grenades there, pushing back the guardsmen, opening up for the Eastern Victory Point again to possibly fall into the hands of the Third Reich. Deutschland. Can JX hold on to it? Or will Jimmy just slap him down? Mortified in the Grenadiers. Elephant shoots and whiffs on the Soviet tank there. T-35 the next target. Possibly, if it can actually shoot it in time. Does get hit in there, half 8 to 22. Feels they're going for the elephant. Those shots that bounce off the elephant's thick frontal armor. Katyusha barrage here with the Eastern Victory Point here. An attempt to snuff out here. JX's attempt to get back the Eastern Victory Point here. It does seem to be working out. Somewhat, but even then he grabs it. But cannot defend. There you go. The machine crew is wiped out. Another blow to JX in a series of already unfortunate developments for him in the German army. Again, part of the issue is just he keeps playing very defensively. $32 points left here versus 231. At this point, it is largely looking like GG, short of divine intervention. Or a really, really good push from GX. I mean, we have seen occasionally a single push can turn things around, but the problem is GX just clearly does not have that drive for attacking. 16 points left here versus 231. Hunter barrage off here. On the field guns, mine going off here. Some more extensive losses this round, even gaining veterans one here for the Katyusha. But the problem is, it doesn't actually help GX get any of those victory points. Down just 4 points. 1 point, and by now it is most certainly GG here. Game over, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. Lost battle here for the Germans. Victory for the Red Army. Ultimately, again, it came down to just GX getting way too passive, way too comfortable here. And that just means, again, there's just so much more easy terrain here. Plus, he was doing a rather shoddy job of defending his field point. There's no to do anything with that either, or at least counter-harass. So, I think in definitely many regards, and again, he might have been part of the command, he wanted that elephant, so he was more willing to go for defensive. But again, it just handed too much initiative to the Soviets, and just made it easier to be going down there. So, yeah, now, be careful about being defensive, particularly as the Wehrmacht. They are ostensibly billed as a defensive faction. In my experience, that typically isn't quite the case, in particular as the Soviets were increasingly very good at grinding you out if you get to the late game. So there definitely should have been a shift there from JX and how to deal with Jimmy. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. If it gave you ideas, consider donating or pledging on Patreon, subscribing. Links are in the video description. This is Imperial Links. Cheers, and see you all tomorrow for another episode. Bye.